So what I want to illustrate here is how to get to this bar chart, which we got stuck at during the session. So this is what your final thing might look like. This isn't completely done formatting yet, but it's almost there. So where do you want to start? The first thing you want to do is to go to rec2 replication average with zeros. So I have the recommended 2 replicated averages with zeros. If we go there, we can copy this table. Remember what this table is. It's the average heights in each of the Petri dishes, okay, for the different concentrations. Now let's go back to sheet 1 and paste it. So what I'm trying to do is just regenerate this data so you see how I came about it. So then the next thing you're going to want to do is, well, let's move this over a bit. Just Command X that and move that over there. Okay, and that can also go away. So now let's get back to business. You're going to want to take each of your concentrations and just paste it as a fresh row. So concentration 0%, paste it as a fresh row, 5% fresh row, 10%, and so on. And then for each of these rows now, you're going to drag to copy this bunch of cells, those 5 cells, and then paste them while transposing. So paste special transpose, okay? And then repeat that for the other 5. And then you should have something that looks roughly like this highlighted part here, okay? And then what you need to do is, let me zoom in just a little bit. What you need to do then is to calculate, first of all, the average for each of these concentration levels. And the way to do that is, let's delete that cell, is you type the equal to sign, equal to average, very intuitive, average, open your parentheses, and then drag across to select. Okay, close your parentheses, and there we have it. That's our average. And then you can drag from the bottom right of this cell downwards to basically paste that same formula into each of these cells. And there we have our averages. And then those are the first 2 things we need to plot. But we're also going to need to plot standard deviation. So let's get that out of the way as well. The way to do that again is very simple, very intuitive. You hit the equal to sign, stdev for standard deviation. You open your parentheses and then you drag to select all of those, and then you close. And then from the bottom right of this again, when you get this dark arrow or dark cross, you drag down to fill. And then you're going to create a special column that I call half of standard deviation. I'll explain why in a second. It's really just a formula for the standard deviation divided by 2. Okay? So this stuff divided by 2 gives you this. And then keep that aside. And then we're going to want to plot. Let's move the old plot away. So it's very simple. You just drag to select all your concentration rows. And then you hit command and then drag across averages again. And then we're going to go to insert. And let's see if Excel recommends a good chart for us. Sure. So clustered column is what we're going for. Let's click on that one. And so we're almost done. What we need to do now is add some error bars. We'll fix the formatting a little bit and then add error bars. How do we add error bars? Well, you go to Add Chart Element at the top left. This is under the Chart Design tab. And then you click on Error Bars, More Error Bar Options. And then we go to this little box for formatting error bars. We click on the 3 rectangles here. And we go down. Now we can see the error amount is currently fixed at 0.2, which is not what we want. What we want is to click on Custom and then Specify Value. Specify Value. Now Excel has the weird thing of having a positive error value and a negative error value separate. But standard deviation is just one value. It needs to combine these 2. That is why we have the half of standard deviation here. So what we're going to do is click on this thingy here and then highlight the half of standard deviation column. hit enter. That's our positive error value. How about our negative error value? You click on this again, we highlight the same column, hit enter. So now, wait, that looks a bit mischievous. Let's do that again. We highlight that, okay, and then now we hit OK. And so the error values look a little bit more reasonable now. And so when you name this graph, or when you describe this graph, you need to explain what your error bars are, because error bars could be a bunch of different things. So I think we're almost there. This graph, though, does look a bit ugly. For one, there's too much space between the rectangles, or the bars. To fix that, I think we click on the bar itself, and then we click over here on the three rectangles at series options, and we can reduce the gap width here, reduce the gap width. We don't want to take it all the way to 0 because then it becomes a histogram and our data is categorical, so it's not histogrammable. So I think just about there is fine. And then you need to change the title, of course, and then add in axis labels for the x-axis here and the y-axis there, and then change the color, which I'm sure you can figure out. I don't like this blue. It just reminds everyone of Excel, and everyone hates Excel. Okay, that's about it. Oh no, wait, one more thing. So for the table, I recommend that you put this table in basically as it stands, with the average and the standard deviation columns, definitely not the half of standard deviation column. And for formatting of the table, one quick thing is that I like to go to View and uncheck grid lines for Excel, because the grid lines for Excel are ugly. So uncheck them, and then you can then highlight your table and play around with what's the word for this thing? The borders. Okay, you might pick all borders, for example, and you might change the color of your borders. So I don't like it when it's too dark, so I like to select a kind of light gray. And then you can maybe make the border for the top, the header, you can make that a thick or double, something interesting to help orient the reader visually. And I think that's about it.